Hello everyone, welcome to One-on-One with Ayanthi Philip. Today we have Geeshan Bandara, a global award-winning photographer. I read your profile and, I see that within a very short span of time, from 2010, you built a great career in photography. So you've shot over 500 weddings, destination weddings and all sorts of weddings. And you've also won the Fearless Photographer Award. And last year in 2020, you were placed in the top 4 in Asia. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. At the end of 2020, I was one of the top 4 fearless photographers of Asia. So contests happen frequently. So we're always active.
All right. So tell me, Geeshan, what drew you into this career of photography?
I would say initially it was my father. He had an interest in photography and he was always with his camera. He was never a professional photographer, but he was an avid amateur and he would like to take pictures and I would like to look at them. And then that sort of passed on to me and I would like to take pictures. And I was the only person who would look at, the various family albums. I'm sure you've seen, in your family album collection, we've back in the age of film, we amassed a large number of pictures and it just sits there and no one looks at it, but I was the only one who looked at it. And somehow something sparked in me and I had this desire to capture photographs of the way I would see things differently. So I think I could safely say that it began with my father.
Fantastic. And you did your initial studies in Sri Lanka or was it overseas? Where did you study photography?
I was in Canada when I was, at the time I completed my higher education, I finished university. I made this drastic change from being in the IT field and I did a degree, I studied photojournalism. So specifically photojournalism because I had this desire to become a war photographer initially. I was drawn to the idea of making a difference with my photography. Unfortunately, I didn't really continue down that path, but I did study journalism and photography separately, and that is my primary source of inspiration for the way I shoot weddings. It is primarily documentary wedding photography that I do. So all the elements, all the training, everything that I learned in studying journalism has been able to, I've been able to transfer that to my wedding photography. So it's all about capturing the moments, knowing when to look, knowing what to anticipate, that sort of thing.
Fantastic. So when you say documentary style, could you elaborate?
Yes, essentially what we're talking about is completely unscripted weddings. So your traditional wedding photography, what we've seen over the years is couples being posed, being told where to stand, how to stand, what to do, how to look. Every single moment is scripted by the photographer. And we've slowly shifted away from that, I think, but not entirely, at least not so much in Sri Lanka just yet. It is very popular in the US and the UK, and documentary wedding photography is essentially your entire day unscripted, no posing, and nothing else, just everything that happens as is. Yes. Obviously, we've had to do a little bit of adjustments to cater to the Sri Lankan market. So I would say we do 90% documentary wedding photography, but there's still a little bit where we do have to capture those portraits,
So would you say that's how you differentiate yourself in Sri Lanka? Because yours is more documentary style?
Yes, I would say it's not only the documentary style, but there's it's a little bit of everything, and allow me to elaborate. It's the way I present the pictures, the way I show the pictures, the choices that I make, the way I make it artistic, the way I make it creative, the way I tell the story, essentially. So there's a lot of elements that go into telling a story with a picture. So for example, one thing that I love to do is layering. So I would layer stories within a frame. So there'll be something happening in the front of the frame, there's something happening in the middle, maybe something happening at the back. And when you look at the picture, you can take your time and see the story that's unfolding in front of you. You can spend a lot of time looking at one frame. There's a lot of different things, but primarily it is my approach. It is the way I capture it, the way I present it.
Oh, wow. Amazing. Yes, I have seen some of your photographs where you would have a picture on the side mirror of a motorbike, or it'll be a reflection in the water or a mirror. Yeah, so it's quite different, isn't it?
Yeah, I'd like to think that every, I can take a lot of pictures with a lot of different creative elements in it, but I like to think that if I'm choosing to take a picture, there's a reason that I do it. So there's a purpose behind it.
That's good to know. So always have a purpose when you take a photograph. Okay.
Yeah, that's a good approach.
Right. So Geeshan, you shot at the recent Ambani wedding.
In 2018, in December, I was one of the photographers of a team that shot the wedding of Geeshan Bandara and Anand Perumal. And there were many other photographers there as well. It was an incredible experience. I mean, I don't think I would be able to sufficiently cover it in this interview, but it was something, unlike anything that we've experienced, or probably very few people have experienced, because it was opulent. It overwhelmed the senses from start to finish, because everything you can imagine a grand wedding would look like, it was on a scale of like 100. You barely had time to take it all in, because we were there to get pictures, we were there to do a job.
Right. So you're probably overwhelmed. Well, it is the wedding of the century, isn't it? And you must be very lucky to be a part of it.
Definitely wedding of the century. I do feel fortunate to be picked for my creative ability for it. And I'd like to think that we were there for a reason. We were the creative team. So there were, our other counterparts, they shot different style. We even had the royal wedding photographers there. Great bunch of guys, who shot Kate's wedding.
Right.
So there were a lot of people, it's definitely a collaborative effort, because the event is actually so big that you have to split up and cover certain areas. So everyone has their responsibilities, everyone has their own task, and then you're shooting all these celebrities and all these personalities, so you have to stay focused, you have to make sure you get good shots. So it's quite something. And then on top of that, you have to accurately portray what it felt like. Essentially, it's like if you were in a kingdom and the king's daughter, the princess, was getting married. So every single place that you would go within, and it was an actual palace, every single place you would go within the palace, there was someone doing something or some kind of preparation for the wedding, every single corner.
That's amazing. So, amazing experience. Well, tell me, Geeshan, the past year with the COVID-19 pandemic, it has affected the wedding industry tremendously. So as a professional photographer, what other directions have you sought?
Well, the COVID-19 pandemic definitely hit us all. And unfortunately, a lot of my weddings were from foreign couples, were from Sri Lankan expats overseas. So a lot of us got hit hard with the travel restrictions. In terms of mitigating it, there's not really a lot that we were able to do, because we've only been able to focus on local events, and people are not particularly keen on having local events. One of the good things, though, I think, I'd like to think that there's a silver lining to everything. Yes. Is that I think a lot of local couples realize the value of having small, intimate weddings. And small, intimate weddings is, these are some weddings that we typically do for foreign couples, but you would see more Sri Lankan couples having smaller numbers of 25, 50, and you don't necessarily need to have a grand wedding to have beautiful pictures and, you know, incredible memories. You just need your close friends. You just need your immediate family, people that you love and care about, and you know, you can have a wedding, you can have unforgettable memories. So I think people are starting to think along those lines. So that is good, I would say. That is promising. So we're seeing a lot more small events.
It's a silver lining. Okay. Yeah. Well, also, Geeshan, I'd like to know, what does Geeshan Bandara Photography have in store post-pandemic and in the future?
Post-pandemic and in the future. That is a good question. One thing is I would still like to focus a little bit more on weddings. We're obviously waiting for things to settle down. We're playing it safe. I have been getting a lot of requests from fellow photographers and you know, even enthusiasts to do a little bit of teaching. So I might look into that. You know, I've been considering it. I've been thinking, you know, if I'm all this knowledge and experience I've amassed, there's, you know, the only way I can pay people back is if I impart the knowledge onto someone else. And I wouldn't say that I don't know if I'm a great teacher, but I'd be very enthusiastic about the subject, obviously. So hopefully with a little bit of structure, you know, that should be enough to, you know, take a step in that direction.
Amazing. So that leads me to my next question, actually, because I'd like you to tell us a few words of wisdom, of inspiration for aspiring photographers, people who, you know, people do want to be photographers now. It's a thing, isn't it? It's a profession now.
Yeah, it is a profession, and it draws in a lot of people because I think the barrier to entry is a lot lower now. And that's not to take anything away from the industry. You know, it's an incredibly challenging field. Despite that, I would say from the questions that I frequently get from photographers who, you know, want to know something, who have something to ask me, I would say the first thing I would do, and this is something that I wish I knew when I started out, is do not neglect the business side of things, as in do not neglect the non-photography side of things. Make sure you have a good understanding of how you're going to approach that, what you're going to do, and, you know, think from the perspective of a couple who's, you know, going to put everything they have into trusting you with getting wonderful memories of, like, you know, the once in a lifetime memories of their special day. So you have to think of it from that perspective, and, you know, treat it with care, and know that you are in a position to give something that they will cherish. Because we can always find enough resources to learn things ourselves. There's YouTube videos, there's a plethora of information out there. And I think most people would just be inundated with how much information there is.
Yes.
So, you know, keep it simple. Think about what you're going to do, and think about the administration, the business side of things, because you know, I think whoever I'm addressing right now probably already has the photography knowledge, so they'll need the other stuff as well.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Geeshan. Very valuable tips. It's great to speak to someone who is so passionate about photography and so dedicated. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, Ayanthi. Thank you for having me on this chat, and I'll see you soon.
Let's begin.